Audience, have you heard the story of Tanel before as well? Well, for the ones who are online, we could say that about 2/3 of the audience know about Tanel and his poultry farming. But what did you do before that? Well, my path to this decision was a long and complicated one. First, in this city, I graduated from the university as an agronome, and after that I was working in the Ministry of Agriculture and working with leader support mechanism from the ministry. Then I came back to Tartu, and then started working in Tallinn for Vitafields, a startup company. Then it was sold for Americans. Then I started to work as a regional manager of a company from Jordan, and then finally I ended up in Saaremaa. So you wanted to end up as far as possible from Tartu. Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't feel well here in Tartu. So why free-range poultry farming? Why not, for example, beer brewing or cider making? Well, I could say that it was a very pragmatic decision, because when living in the countryside, you could also apply for some finances. And as I had an education based on agriculture, and I knew that it was possible to receive 40,000 euros as a starting finance for becoming an entrepreneur. And therefore, I knew that 40,000, the ones who have been working with agriculture, they know that for that you can maybe buy one tractor and something else, but you also need land. You also know that you need also a harvester, etc., etc. Then I was thinking about different kind of animal husbandry, but the prices of animals have risen. Now the situation is even more different, but I'm talking about the situation 3 years ago. And then I left all other ideas aside, but berries, and I was thinking that when working with like farming of berries, then the whole activity is concentrated only on a couple of months in the year. And then somehow I ended up with this idea of poultry farming. And then I discovered that on the island of Saaremaa there are no poultry farms. And as Saaremaa for many people is a synonym to everything ecological. And by the way, our Minister of Ecology, Environment is also from Saaremaa. And I was also aware about that animal protection activists are becoming more and more active over the years. And then my final thought was that if other areas are cancelled, then it will take more time before free-range poultry farming is cancelled. But how did you find housing, or how did you find a place to keep hen in? Yes, it was an old pig farm, in fact, that I managed to find in Saaremaa. And I was recommended that, yes, please, there are lots of real estate available in the countryside. But the reality was that everything was already occupied. And from Kuressaare, a couple of kilometers towards Sõrve, there is a village named Salme. And there I found this old pig farm. And then, surprise, surprise, they agreed that they would sell this farm to me, although later on I heard that during the latest 10 years they had not agreed to sell the farm to anybody. But as our today's conference is about circular economy, what are the key words of your daily activities? We know that manure is also one of the products that is produced on a daily basis. And you can definitely also ask questions on Slido. Well, I would say that I'm not more clever than the experts here are on circular economy. But I thought that as I was offered this fantastic opportunity to come and talk today, then finally I was also concluding that although I'm just an ordinary poultry farmer from Saaremaa, well, basically it all goes without waste. And even packaging that I use, this is also recycled material. Would you like to show it now? I think that everybody knows how this packaging looks like. Yeah, maybe mine differs a little bit. So it's eggs inside, produced on my farm. But yeah, about circular economy. Then the fodder that I used has also been grown without any chemicals. And where do you take it? Where do you buy it from? Also from Saaremaa, so it's purchased locally. And for the ones who are not very much acquainted to a life cycle of hen, what about productivity of your hen? How many eggs do they lay in a week, let's say? Very specific questions. But this industry of poultry farming is a little bit different compared to keeping hen in a family farm. I have 3,600 hen right now. So industrial poultry farming is starting from 1,000. Rearing hen. So, what is the fertile period of hen? Yeah, it all starts from a chicken, and in 4 months' time they will be laying eggs, rearing egg, and then for 11 months then they will be left out of production. And a big part of them, they also end their life cycle there, and some of them will be handed over to some smaller farms. So 90% of them lay eggs daily. So if I want to have 1,000 hen, then I get 900 eggs a day. And I have managed to even produce 92%, the two latest years. But the marginals are very low there. Is there anything that you have said no to? Have you said no to questions or suggestions in connection to your ideology? By the way, maybe it's in conflict with the circular economy, but thinking more broadly about the future, I have been thinking about the future solutions, and I have been thinking about that the larva could eat up the rests of fodder, of food, and that would be another option. So for me it would mean that if people are not willing to buy these free-range eggs that are a little bit more expensive, but it's not the same as free-run eggs. And for me personally, there is still a conflict in nowadays production, because for me it's really important that this production would take place in an environmental friendly way, and that energy would be used in a maximum manner.
But let's talk about the definitions now. Can you tell me 5 to 10 criteria? What is a free-range egg? What is factory produced? And what is organic? Well, we have caged chickens that live in cities, and free-range eggs, free-range chickens that live in the countryside. So in the same barn, where I can have 3,600 chickens, I could have 70 to 80,000 caged hens. Free-range chickens live on one surface, but caged hens live on in several layers, so the cages can be on several layers. Organic versus free-range difference is that free-range chickens can be kept, can be reared more on one square meter in higher number, but their feed has to be organic. We also have a very pragmatic question. How much does it cost to rear a hen for 1 month? What is the cost per one egg, per one chicken? Have you ever calculated this? Well, the need for fodder is 140 grams per day. 1 ton of feed costs 600 to 700, up to €1,000. You need to add electricity and employment costs. Well, it does cost something. Yes, it's quite difficult to calculate it per one hen. It would be easier to calculate per 100 hens. People who are more into the business side of things probably know this, but I am more focused on the hens themselves and keeping them alive and making sure they lay eggs. You said that organic chicken farming means that they live in a natural way. How many roosters do you have? Well, 1,500 hens and 15 roosters. So this is the proportion. It is not so easy for roosters. Last year I did not have any roosters. You don't need them for production actually, but somehow we have ended up with 4 roosters this year. I had no idea until I heard the rooster in the barn. So how many employees do you have? Do you do it all alone? Well, it depends who asks. Feel free to interpret the question as you like. Greetings to the Estonian Music and Theatre Academy. Well, I think this is not work that I could do alone. Okay, we understand. This is clear. What does your day look like? If you start a day, I'm sure that the roosters and chicken don't need much care. Yes, you don't. It is not like with animal husbandry. I am able to leave the farm once a year to go to Tartu. It is very nice that Tanel is so honest. Well, I think next time I should make a presentation with slides. Let me ask you another question. If you are not sure whether to carry on with organic farming or change this, well, we heard that larvae can be used for eating leftover. They can eat the leftovers, and the chicken can eat them. What is the food chain like? Does it matter what the larvae eat if you want to feed the larvae to the chickens? Well, this is a quite new area. I haven't investigated it in depth. It costs quite a lot to investigate this further. If you would like to invest in circular economy in Saaremaa, please contact me. But generally, I can say that chicken eat anything. If there are food leftovers in the house, then just like back in the day, they are given to the chickens. However, to be able to produce eggs professionally, it is important to ensure that all the nutrients are given to the chickens. What about the different seasons? In childhood, I remember our family had 20 chickens, and we went there to pick the eggs. But you have 3,000, and they all lay eggs at different times. How do you collect the eggs? Well, this is yes, you go to each chicken and you try to convince them to lay an egg, and you take a basket with you. I'm only joking. Chicken has psychological and physiological needs in order to produce eggs. So they also look for places to lay eggs where they feel safe. And for that, I have specific installments where they can be more hidden. The eggs then roll on the tilted surface. I would say that the chickens wake up at about 5 a.m. and they start laying eggs around 6, 7 o'clock in the morning and finish shortly after noon. It takes 25 hours to produce an egg, so it is not possible for one chicken to lay more than one egg per day. You said that you had some IT background. As far as I've seen in social media, you have also used this knowledge. How does it compare to other farmers? I understand that it has become a trend that if we have a new restaurant, you tend to share information about visiting a new place. Does this show your IT background, or is it just something that you do in order to be transparent? Do you want to ask why I post so much on social media? Yes, well, I do like to post and comment online. I also understand that organic eggs are a very niche product. Many of you might not know the difference between a caged chicken egg and an organic egg. But this is a niche that is becoming more and more common. From 2026 to 2027 onwards, it will not be allowed to sell caged chicken eggs in the EU anymore. So I identified this as a future trend, and it was therefore important to communicate this to the world. Social media is an important way of reaching lots of people in a very short time. I decided to use open communication because I'm also curious about how processes work, where milk comes from, where eggs come from, how the mechanisms work. I like to be curious. So my aim was to share information about how things are done in the country, whether it's possible to start farming from scratch today, how egg production works. This is an interesting ongoing story. We don't know where I'm going to end up in. I nearly stopped my activities at the beginning of this year, but I took a digital turn. Does anybody know what NFT is? Okay, some people do. So I issued the digital eggs. Is it the same thing as NFT? No, they are the same. What is NFT? Non-fungible token. If I understand it correctly, it is a smart contract. That you can sign. So this means that a person would send 100 euros to their account, and they would get a part of my profit if I ever have profit. So why do you call this NFT digital chicken? Are these, is this related to a specific chicken? Okay, every year we have different chickens, so the owners of NFTs also change. So it is something that is in constant change. So perhaps in a few years' time, they will all be digital. No, we have separate chickens that we use as NFTs. Otherwise, we might lose the digital chickens among the other chickens, and we don't know who is digital and who is not. But let's take the last question before the coffee break. Who are your customers? How many eggs do you sell? And do you sell them in online shop as well? Well, the egg transport is a very unpleasant topic for me. I try to send these with Omniva packages through package machines, parcel machines, and I labeled them as fragile, but from the 10 that I sent, 6 had broken eggs in them. It is difficult because the eggs are so cheap. If one box cost 10 euros, it would not be a problem. So I cannot sell them with parcel machines. I take them to restaurants generally, but also some chains. I'm present in Selver, in Prisma, Biomarket, Stockmann, and different department stores. So you have all of Estonia covered. Yes, different cities. You said that the manure from chickens goes to farmers. Why don't you produce your own manure for fertilizing? This is something that we are planning to do, but since this is only the 3rd year I'm in this business, it is something that is quite costly. It depends on time and money, and in the future we plan to offer fertilizer produced by our chickens, but this is all the future. Let me ask you one last question. What came first? Tanel's chicken or Tanel's egg? Mick has asked this question. What kind of question is this? My egg or my chicken? How can I answer this question in a politically correct way? I would say you should watch Tanel and Kana, the program on Jupiter TV. You will get all the answers you need. Thank you, Tanel. Let me give you a gift. So, thank you, Tanel. Will you be here or are you taking the boat to Saaremaa already? I think Madis is giving me a lift, but I can't see him here anymore. It looks like I'm staying in Tartu. Thank you again, Tanel.